Some of them are, even on the older side, and they all beat the crap out of their cars. So this is something that I haven't talked about in a while, but a lot of my audience kind of actually found my channel and maybe even was inspired by a video that I made, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, where I went into a lot of detail about how a 335i changed my life. And to those, I feel like at this point everyone kind of knows the deal with 335s and the N54, but BMW kind of came out with this car, the 335 at the time, that came with a massively overbuilt 6-cylinder twin turbo engine that you could compare to a 2JZ in terms of specs and how easily moddable it was. And I remember I was maybe 16 or so years old and had an automatic E46 sedan, which was sick. But anyway, I remember being at a bike shop and this black newer BMW coming up that looked like a spaceship. So, 335s were 2008, and this was maybe in 2013 or 2014. So it's not like it was a brand new car, but I'd never heard a car where I could audibly hear the turbos from the exhaust. And learning more, like I never knew that BMWs had turbos or anything. And as I talked more with this guy and found out that he just had a few bolt-ons on this car and it was insanely fast, I found this little weird kind of, I don't want to say secret, but at the time it was kind of unknown how much potential there was in the platform. And I just thought it was so cool to have a car like that had such potential, sounded so cool, and was in essence at the time a sleeper. I kind of made it upon myself, like once I started researching more and everything, and I just fell in love with the idea of having a white 335 coupe with red seats. And that just became this thought ingrained in the back of my head. And I'm the type of person to where once I get a goal or something in my head, I don't stop thinking about it until I do it. Right around that time, I didn't really even have any sort of income because I had this, again, another super long story that I'm not going to get into too much, but I had a really negative experience with YouTube where a lot of my first channels had gotten banned and I wasn't really making any money off YouTube. And I was at a time in my life where I knew that I couldn't get a job because if I did, I wouldn't be able to ride BMX because that was my main thing, and I did a lot of traveling and I was a straight A student, so I knew if I got a job on top of school to get money for a car, I would stop riding BMX, which is the exact type of person that I would talk trash about because I hated seeing all my friends stop riding because they're trying to pay for a car or something. Around that time, I kind of was playing with the idea and started, what would now be considered YouTube merch. So I started making merchandise and stuff, and I guess kind of the whole idea and the thing about the 335 that really resonated with me is just, I guess I was just confident that I could make it happen, even though it was, I don't know, maybe I was 17 at the time. And, at the time they were selling for $25,000, which is absurd because now they're worth like nothing, like 10,000 or whatever. But, I had this goal, and having that in the back of my head just really gave me something to continue pushing that extra hour, that extra 2 hours at night to continue working towards. And the moral of the story with the car was just that having that goal, whether it be a car or something, to just constantly keep reminding you and give you a reason to work harder can really just make the difference. And especially did for me, from kind of being lazy and not having direction to really giving you a reason to push harder. And because of that car, I've established this platform that I've been able to continually pivot and modify and continue growing into what I am now. But going back to that car, I still have it, and it's such just a monumental, I guess you could say, icon or symbol to me of just kind of that reminder that when I do set goals, regardless of how unattainable they are, it will push me to work towards it. And the funny thing is I struggle when I don't have a goal. So not that I get lazy, but I get comfortable. And I feel like it's really important regardless of where you are in life. Some might say this is a good thing, some might say it's a bad thing, but I'm constantly benchmarking myself to people that are more successful than me. I'm constantly looking at, what better car I might want, or what if I want another house or something like that. Just, I feel like there needs to be something that you're working towards. And, I guess one could argue that, these goals and stuff don't necessarily need to be financial, but I feel like when you're in a business climate, it's good to have sort of financial goals or something to give you a reason to work harder. Because I firmly do believe, in the landscape of money, after you reach a certain threshold, any incremental dollar isn't necessarily going to make you happier. So I think if you're in the situation where you do have an opportunity to grow and continue pushing something, it is important to have goals. Fast forward from the 335 thing, seeing that happen and seeing, all of my efforts come to fruition with that. My next goal was to, purchase a house, which I didn't end up doing before I graduated college. So I think senior year, I went and purchased my first house, which was kind of crazy to me at the time because I had no credit. I had one secured credit card that I made one purchase on, and I think the rest was just based on my actual income and my bank statements that they were able to give me a loan or a mortgage, I should say, in the house world. So after that, it became kind of tricky because I had drift cars and stuff, but there was no real next step for me. But the one car that really did kind of push me to have as this goal and the end game in my head was to have a 911 GT3 RS. And the more I got involved with people that had GT3s, again, there's so many stories that kind of branch out from this, but that's how I wound up meeting Matt Mormon from Obsessed Garage, who really brought me into the GT3 world and showed me more than I already knew about the cars and introduced me to a lot of other GT3 owners who are I just think it's the coolest thing that these dudes, like some of them are, even on the older side, and they all beat the crap out of their cars and have so much fun, and they're all successful, like self-made dudes who just really enjoy driving. And I wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted to have what in my head was just this amazing example of an exotic car that didn't look like an exotic car and was super low maintenance that you could beat the crap out of. And it was challenging not so much to actually meet the goal of what I needed to purchase the car, but I think having something that was such a high dollar value to me to be able to make the commitment to purchase the car when in the past all of my vehicles that I've owned or have purchased have been investments in the sense that I can buy a cheap car and I can make tenfold on it with the content that I get out of it. So it was really difficult for me to make the commitment to buying this car knowing that it was truly for me and not a content car. And I even said that when I got it. I don't think there's going to be a lot of videos because Porsche makes the cars so good from the factory. It's not like I'm going to be putting turbos on it and, changing bumpers and stuff like that. So fast forward, I did end up getting the car, and I was fortunate enough to, get a great deal on the car through a dealership in Beechwood, Ohio. And now the beauty of it is if you pay the right amount for a GT car, they do hold their value. So even though it's a lot of that upfront cost, I can drive it around for 3 years, and if I need to get rid of it or if I want to trade up to something, it won't break the bank. But again, just kind of going back, and I don't like to get too preachy because it's not really, my thing, and I'm not that good at it. But for me, setting goals and really having something constantly that I'm working towards is it's really what I need as a person to continue pushing that extra little bit. Because in the end of the day, if you're willing to put in 8 hours a day, there's someone else that's willing to put in 10 hours a day, and they're going to be 2 hours more successful than you. And if you want to stand out, especially in a world like YouTube, like you have to work harder than everyone else. You can't just, it's not a luck thing. If you put the time in, I truly think better things will come about because of it. And now I'd say, what's next? I really want to build my own racetrack, and I want to do it in a way. One thing that's kind of always been drilled into our heads in not high school, but college, because I actually went to school for business management, but specifying in entrepreneurship. Kind of the whole concept of starting lean, which is, again, another really good thing for someone who is looking to start a business or something and not spending a lot of money right off the bat. So if it does fail, or if you do find out more information, you can pivot more easily than spending a couple $1 million to realize it's a flop. So I want to get some cheap land. I want to build like a little go-kart track just to start using for my own content. And then from there, hopefully, if everything's cool with the town, because that's my biggest hurdle is finding land with noise, like without noise ordinances. I want to just kind of scale it from there, and maybe it could turn into a proper road track to where I could build facilities, a restaurant, and shops and stuff like that. But for me, just especially where I am right now, because I can kind of do whatever I want in this awesome climate that I've kind of created for myself, it's really, really important to kind of keep an eye on what's next to stay focused.
Are you looking to buy your dream car? Premier Financial Services offers the flexibility of financing with the tax benefits of leasing. The PFS Simple Lease offers quick approvals and easy termination when you are ready for the next car. Visit our website and follow us for more.